back to my channel, welcome to another video. It's been a while, I have to admit, but we're going to be talking about university today. I've not spoken about university in such a long time. It honestly feels like, I was going to say years, it's literally been a year. It's been one whole year since I graduated, which is absolutely insane. Oh, it's just terrifying, it's weird, it's horrible, I hate it. Yeah. Anyway, so today we're going to be doing a Q&A. I always get people messaging me on Instagram asking me questions about uni and the course, so I thought I would do a Q&A video. This video is going to be covering questions that people have asked me on my Instagram stories over the last couple of days. I put 2 posts out. I put one on my aka Clobo account and I put one on my Chloe Needs Photography account. A lot of people have messaged me on my aka Clobo account. Unfortunately, I had to put that account on private because of the current job I'm doing. So I'm just going to be covering multiple different questions that I was asked on my page. It has been a long time, but I do really enjoy doing Q&A videos. So the first question is, how long did it take to settle into uni life? If I'm being honest, I settled really quickly. I was really looking forward to going to Falmouth. I just couldn't wait. It was like my whole personality for like months before I went. So when I eventually got down there, settling in was super easy. I was really nervous about meeting all my housemates because obviously that is a massive thing, like you're literally stuck with them in your flat. I had spoken to a couple of my flatmates online beforehand. For those of you that might not know, Falmouth and Exeter are combined. So in the sidings we were a mixture of Falmouth students and Exeter students. That is usually the case throughout most of the student accommodations, especially in Penryn. I was able to find 2 of my housemates out of 7. If you are really worried, I'm sure there is plenty of Facebook group chats you can join to find out who is in your flat. I'm sure most people probably already know where they're living. If that helps you, chatting to people before you move in, that could help. It depends on the way that you settle. Like, I can sleep anywhere. It doesn't really take much for me to eventually be able to kind of like have a good night's sleep anywhere, as some people, if it's an uneasy environment, they don't usually have a good night's sleep. I was totally fine. I felt really safe in my accommodation, especially at the sidings. So you need a key fob to get into the gate, a key fob to get into the building, a key fob to get into your flat, and then you have a actual physical key to get into your room, and you can lock it from obviously inside. It's safe, it's super safe. What made you choose Falmouth? Okay, so there was multiple different factors that made me choose Falmouth. Originally, I was going to go to Derby University. I was in a relationship at that point. I'd been in this relationship for 3 years. He'd already gone to university, he was at Derby University. Basically, cutting a long story short, it was a very messy breakup and I just didn't know what I was gonna do. I was in my art lesson, literally bawling my eyes out, and one of the guys in my class was like, why don't you look at Falmouth, because I think it's just completely down your street. So I did, and I fell in love with the course. I fell in love with the place. I just fantasized about it. That sounds really weird, but I did. Like, I just couldn't wait to be in Falmouth. First thing I did was look at photography courses, and I was originally going to do BA, and then I found MNHP, which is Marine and Natural History Photography, for those of you that don't know. And I just thought the course just was it just looked so fun. It was full of adventure, like it was stuff that I'd never done before, and I thought underwater photography was like a really unique thing to do. And yeah, so that was basically how I found out about Falmouth. And then I just had my heart set on it completely. It was my only choice. Freshers advice. Okay, one thing for freshers. Please just go and have a look at the societies in Freshers Week. They will have an event where they have all the societies like on campus, and you can go and chat to the people that run the societies. Please go to it, please sign up to stuff, and do actually attend the events that they put on, because that was one of my biggest regrets. I signed up to so many societies and then I didn't go to any. And it's one of my biggest regrets, because I then wanted to join things in second year, but it was like really iffy because it was kind of COVID, and it was just like, there was just never really a right time to kind of join. But if you join from the beginning, it's just easier than trying to join when you're like in second or third year, especially in third year, because like You don't want to be thinking about joining other things and making friends in these societies when you've got your dissertation in your final year to be worrying about. And try something new. You've got to try something new. Like, I did try new things. Like, we tried to go surfing. It wasn't very successful, but like, I gave it a go and it was really, really fun. Try new things, go to the events. Don't worry too much about money in your first week. That sounds really irresponsible. Kind of do worry about money in the sense of like, don't blow everything, like don't blow your whole student loan in the first week, like that's not what I'm saying, but don't be concerned about what you're spending your money on, if that makes sense, because you want to enjoy your time at university. You don't want to be sat there thinking, oh, I shouldn't really be spending my money, and then like missing out on really fun things, because I definitely was way too worried about money and I was totally fine. I think if COVID hadn't happened, I'd have a very different outlook, but I feel like I missed out on a lot of things because of COVID, so I don't want you guys to miss out. My favourite place in Falmouth. Okay, so if we're talking like favourite place just to go, is obviously the beach. In my third year, I lived 2 minutes from Castle Beach and it was literally the best thing ever. I would wake up in the morning, I would make my breakfast, I'd walk to the beach, and then I'd just sit there and eat my breakfast and then come back, go to my lectures. In terms of cafes, there was a really nice cafe called Planted that was really, really good. There's like a restaurant slash bar that is really nice and it's called the Star and Garter. It's homemade sorbet in Prosecco and it comes in a little glass and it's like it's a little ball of sorbet literally with like 2 shots of Prosecco, or like there's like some measurement of it in this glass, and it's like a dessert but also like a cocktail, and it's really good. Like, you have to try it. If you go to the Star and Garter, you have to try it. They do a deal where it's like 2 cocktails for the price of 1, I think. It's been such a long time. Also, Gilly Beach Cafe is a really lovely cafe. They do a really great hot chocolate, like if you get all the works with like the cream and the marshmallows. It's very good. What is life like studying in Falmouth? Is it stressful or easy? I had a very stress-free life when I was in Falmouth. Well, actually, when it came to my housing situation, I had a really iffy second year. Yeah, I think the only stressful thing for me was my living situation in second year. So any advice when it comes to living with people, don't live with your landlord. That's all I'm gonna say. Buses are a bit hit and miss. They're not very reliable, but then and again, what bus is reliable in the UK or anywhere? I don't think I've ever got a bus that's actually on time. But the train is super cheap and it's super quick as well. So I just think it's just a very happy-go-lucky, relaxed, hippie lifestyle down there. Like, you go down there and everyone's just really chilled, like everyone wants to go to the beach and everyone's really into like water sports. I also met a lot of people who are also really aware about the environment, which was really nice as well, especially because I did an environmental degree. I would say it's a very easy lifestyle, but it depends on how you make it for yourself, if that makes sense. Did you take your car to university? Yes, I did. So I didn't have my car from September to Christmas, and then I didn't have my car from like January to February, and it was maybe like a month before COVID that I got my car. You don't necessarily need a car, but also at the same time it's a very handy thing to have. But having my car allowed me to visit so many more places in Cornwall, and it just allowed me to have a little bit more freedom. But to be fair, you can get to most places on the train, and like I said, it is quite cheap. Where did you prefer living, Falmouth or Penryn? Falmouth, 100%. I will say to everyone from now on, if you have the chance to move into Falmouth in your second year, do it. Because I didn't move into Falmouth until my third year, and massive regret, massive regret. I wish I lived in Falmouth in my second year, because it meant that I had to always drive home. I lived in Mabe in my second year, and I felt like if people wanted to go out in town, I could never drink and actually like join in and have fun, because I always had to worry about getting home, and I didn't want to pay for a taxi for myself. I could have stayed at someone's house, but also I like sleeping in my own bed, so I just preferred living in Falmouth. It was so much nicer, especially because I lived 2 minutes away from the beach, so that for me is like a massive win. So now we are moving on to the questions that I got on my photography page. How many dives did you do each year, and did you use dry suits? How deep did you go on dives with uni? Okay, so the first question is how many dives that we did. So you do 1 pool dive, to get used to using the camera equipment, and then you do 5 dives in your first year with the university. This is like paid for you by the second years, if that makes sense. So in your second year you will pay for diving, and that kind of subsidizes like the second year dives but also the first year dives, I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's how it was when we were there. You do 6 dives basically, but 5 actual sea dives. And then in your second year you'll do another pool dive and another 5 dives. To be fair, some people will cancel and they kind of need to fill the slots anyway, so they might just let you do a free dive here or there. Next part of the question is about dry suits. So I don't actually have my dry suit training. Even if I did, I wouldn't have been provided with a dry suit. If you use a dry suit, you need to have your training for it and you need to provide it yourself. There's nothing saying you can't use a dry suit, but that is like a personal thing rather than like that being provided by the course. And the next part of the question is, how deep on the dives did you go? I think the max depth that we went to was maybe about 8 meters. The diving was not deep at all, but to be fair, everything that you want to see is kind of like 5 meters anyway. You don't really want to be going deeper than 10 meters. Where did you go diving? Okay, so I went diving at 2 places. We went diving at Silver Steps, which is basically, it's between Pendennis Point and Castle Beach. The other diving site is Porthcerris. Porthcerris is a little bit of a trek to get to, so you will need to know someone that has a car or have a car yourself. There usually is spaces on the minibus, but because of COVID we weren't allowed to get lifts off the minibus because we had to be in our bubbles. There was that, and that's another thing you need to be aware about if you are taking your car to uni, is that you are going to get through petrol like real quick, because if you're driving anywhere, like everywhere is like a really lengthy drive. Yeah, so if you're in Falmouth and you want to go to Truro, like just get the train, because then you don't have to worry about parking, and it's actually quicker to get the train. Honestly, it is, because by the time you've like driven around and dealt with all the traffic and parked up and paid for parking, you're just better off just getting the train, honestly. How to get the most out of the uni/MNHP course. Okay, so I already kind of covered like trying to do societies and stuff, but sign up to everything. When I was there, I think they called them like Wow Wednesdays. You could sign up to like masterclasses on like any course that you wanted to and like learn new skills. I didn't discover using other facilities until I'd literally finished and like handed in my dissertation, handed in all my work. Even if you're just doing the ones that are for photography, like sign up to like the Photoshop tutorials and like how to use Lightroom, using the facilities, like using the darkroom, developing film. Like these are all things that all just come in handy. It will be better for you and it will be better for your skills, and it will just make you a better, well-rounded person. And this can be the same for any course. Like just make the most of using your facilities, like learn to use everything that you can. They also did like a May workshop festival. You could go along to workshops in May when you have literally nothing better to do. I signed up to so many in May. I made jewellery out of copper metal, I did screen printing, I did heat transfer, I did rhizo printing as well. A load of stuff that I actually made for my shop, I did in these little workshops, and I honestly wish I found out about it sooner, because I was like bulk making everything before I left to come home. So that is all my questions. I probably will do another video at some point where I talk about things that I haven't covered in this video. I asked you guys for questions and you delivered. So if you do have any more questions, please just comment them down below. I will either comment back to you eventually when I see them, or I will try and do another video if there's enough questions. So like I said, at some point I will get around to sitting down and making another video for you guys. But yeah, I hope that that helps for the moment, and I wish everyone the best of luck when moving to university. I wish it was me again because I miss it so much. Honestly, you have no idea. You're so lucky. Just make the most of everything. And another piece of advice I would give is, if you can, stay down there in the summer, because that's one thing I didn't do, and I wish I did, because it's the best time to be down there. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it's free and we love free things. Hopefully I can deliver some more content for you guys. Life's interesting at the moment. I don't know if it's interesting in a good way or interesting in a bad way, but it's interesting. I don't have a lot of time, which is really frustrating, and that's another thing, that when you're at uni you have a lot of time. So really appreciate having that time, because when you come home and you have to work full time, it's difficult. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking because this video is gonna end up way too long. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you liked it and have a good week.